Your private, typically you get that done within like 3 months. Now keep in mind that this is accelerated. This is not something that you come to fly once a week. This is more like you're there every single day to fly. So that way you get done quicker. Within the first 3 months, you should be able to get your private. And then next step is instrument. Depending on your learning curve, instrument can take you longer or shorter. I got my instrument done within 30 days of actual training. Now it took me about 9 months altogether, but I went for a week the first time, and then I went back for another like 25 days. And by the time I was done, I got my instrument rating. And then once you get your instrument rating, then you can move forward to your commercial. And then once you're rated as a commercial pilot, you can start earning money from there. You can actually legally start getting paid to fly. Are we hiring CFIs? Currently, no. We've hired enough CFIs already, but once we launch our commercial program next month, chances are we will be looking to hire more CFIs, but I'll let you guys know either through a video or through the community tab. So can I fly professionally part-time, or what are some non-airline jobs? You know, I've put a lot of emphasis on becoming an airline pilot, truly because that's where the greatest opportunity is. There is a shortage. I don't care what anyone tells you. I speak to the airlines almost every week. What they're telling us, it's pretty bad and it's gonna get worse. So the opportunity is that it's kind of like being in the medical industry. There's always a job available, right? But if you're not looking to fly for the airlines, even flying for a Part 135 is a great gig. I know a few Part 135 pilots. They are on a salary, but their job is more part-time. When you fly Part 135, it's almost like taking vacations, because you're just flying a bunch of, wealthy folks to point A and point B, and sometimes you go with them on a family vacation. And every time you fly to a vacation spot, guess what? You also get your nice hotel and everything taken care of. I would consider, flying for charter, or maybe in the corporate world too. You can fly for sports teams. You can fly for an operator that leases airplane, kind of like what we do with AirMojo. So for example, when an airplane is leased on AirMojo or any other, maybe offline, generally what happens is the client also needs a pilot, right? Usually you would have an independent pilot fly that plane for you. Obviously they have to be rated and have them on insurance and all that good stuff. I actually think that is the future of pilots. Pilots that are not flying for the airlines, you can literally run your own shop as a pilot, and you would have your own contract as an independent contractor basically. And the average right now, for what I know, so say for example a Citation 2, that's a jet we've reviewed on this channel. To find a pilot to fly that, they can charge you maybe $1,000 a day or $500 a day, but it's likely going to be on the higher side. But my point is, as a pilot, you can also be an independent contractor to anyone who needs you to fly their airplane. And so you don't necessarily have to work for the airlines or, work for a corporate or Part 135. You could just be sitting home and have your own flexible schedule based on the clients that you have. So those are some of the ways you can use your commercial and type rating as a pilot to earn income and do it part-time. So what's the deal with the parachute feature on that plane you're always talking about? I'm not sure what you're asking, but there's a parachute on the plane. It's nothing new. Cirrus has basically commercialized having a parachute on board. And speaking of, a Cirrus jet went down about a week or 2 weeks ago. And this is connected to folks that I know from VeriJet. Thank God nobody got hurt. The pilot was safe, had some trouble after takeoff. And I believe this was the first jet, real life situation where someone had to pull a parachute. And it just shows you that parachute does save life. So to answer your question, you have a tab in the plane. You pull the thing if you need to, and hopefully you touch down safely. So Cryptoline is asking if he starts training or starts his pilot career from 0 hours and work to get the Canadian equivalent of an ATP license. I want you to take whatever I tell you with a grain of salt. If you were to train in another country, I know that outside of the US, you can also train as a pilot, but for the most part, it's the other way around, where you have pilots come here to train and then go fly in different countries. There's the ACAO program that I know that the FAA uses for other or international countries. And I believe that once a pilot is regulated or rated under that program, then you should be good. The short answer to your question is yes. And as far as flying for a US airline, even if you're, someone international, it is possible with a visa and with maybe a sponsor. You can always get hired. But again, I'm sure there's some complexities that has to go with that. But the short answer is yes. Brand 22P, I'm retired military. What's the best way to go about a loan? Actually, for veterans and military folks, I think you actually have more opportunities to get training or pay for stuff. It's kind of like think of going to flight training or flight school, same as going to a 4-year college. And I believe the GI Bill, don't quote me on this, there are rules and bills under the military that actually helps pay for your education. So I think flight training also can fall on that. Carr says my flight school has a ton of vets that use the GI Bill for flight training. So that's why I said don't quote me on it, but someone just actually answered that question for, I think it was Brand 22P earlier, who was asking if you are a veteran or if you're in the military, how can you pay for flight training? The GI Bill, the military can help you pay for flight training. So I would definitely look into that. How old is too old to go from new pilot to airline ready? That is a good question. Unfortunately, there is an age cap to do this. Say you wanted to change careers. If you're over 50 or hitting that mid 50s, I would probably advise against trying to changing your career and becoming an airline pilot. Because by the time you hit 60 or 65, you're at the retirement age, except maybe the FAA decides to change the rules tomorrow. But between 60 and 65 is usually when airline pilots are kind of transitioning into that retirement status. Now, if you're in your 20s, 30s, even 40s, or even late 40s, I still think it's a viable choice. Hell, the oldest person that I spoke to, and we did an interview with him on this channel a year or 2 years ago, he was 53 or 54. Now, even at that age, he's still looking to pursue an airline pilot career because of the demand. He may have a much shorter career, but like I said, the rules can change. But even in that short time, you are on a train to make a good sum of money. Like, this is something I meant to share in a future video. Delta pilots, for example, Delta or FedEx, by year 5, okay, by year 5 as a captain at Delta or FedEx, you're looking at a yearly package of close to $600,000. It's insane, right? So you can think of this as, well, I can do something that I actually want to do, but there is money in it too. And I've said it before that, flying for the airlines or flying ATP is one of the few careers where you become a millionaire while you're still on the job. So when you have packages $500,000 or more per, that's pretty substantial. And I can't really compare that to a lot of career choices or jobs, except maybe you're in the tech world and you're up the ladder. Why are airlines throwing their money for pilots? I'm not sure what you mean, but airlines are in a very tight spot, in the sense that you have to understand the business of airlines is actually very tiny margin. It's one of those businesses that the value is in the fact that people will always need to fly, right? But there's very small amounts of money or profits. So most airlines actually are not profitable because of how the economy swings. So you can have like a good couple of years where boom, they make a bunch of money, and then another couple of years where it goes all the way to zero or less. But the fact is, commercial flying or travel is a needed industry. And airlines know that. Before, in the past, airlines don't care how pilots train or transition into their spots, right? They just care about running their business. But when you have basically pilots saying, I'm not coming to work, or I've heard stories of a full airplane full of like 200, 300 people, boarded, door closed, and the pilots says on the speaker like, okay, I'm clocking out. Literally waited for everybody to board the plane and then clocks out. Right now, pilots are being overworked because of the shortage. So the airlines they're in a no choice situation where they do have to spend the money out of their pocket to help fix the problem. Because at the end of the day, they need the pilots more than the pilots need them, if that makes any sense.